The day my brother came back, he was sitting on my bench. It sounds stupid to call it my bench, but that's what it was. The little green one near the pond, under a half-dead tree that looked like it had been tired for years. I sat there between classes with coffee and headphones, pretending the world was simple. Lectures in the morning, internship in the afternoon, pasta with pesto at night, good grades, good girl, good daughter. I almost walked past him. He was hunched over, elbows on his knees, hood up, the kind of guy you automatically avoid in a park if you're alone. Shaggy hair, a beard that wasn't really a beard yet, more like he'd just given up shaving. Jeans with frayed knees, a smell that reached me before I reached the bench. Sweat, cheap cigarettes, that heavy, sour note of someone who hasn't showered for a while. Then he lifted his head. Businessman Samuel Smith passed away and left all his money to his named granddaughter, Cassie. He said, half smirking, half bitter. You did well. Hearing my granddad's name in a stranger's mouth made me freeze. I clutched my backpack straps tighter. I'm sorry, I managed. He studied me like I was the stranger. His eyes were dark and restless, full of something sharp and desperate. It's Benny, he said. Like that alone should be enough. Forgot me already? For a second, my brain refused to connect the dots. Benny was a boy with gel in his hair and a crooked smile, who smelled like cheap cologne and motor oil and held my hand when I crossed the street. He was 18 forever in my head, wearing the same faded hoodie in every memory. This man was older, worn out, maybe 33 now. Eyes sunken, jaw clenched, shoulders more narrow somehow, like life had been chewing on him for years. But when he raised his eyebrows the way he used to, something inside me lurched. Ben? My voice cracked. Benny? There she is. He spread his arms a little. My baby sister, all grown up and rich. I wanted to hug him. My body even leaned forward like a 6-year-old again, reaching for him the day they took me away. But then the other memories hit. Cold hallways, a metal bed, a door closing with a click that sounded like forever, his back turning, his voice saying, "It'll be better for you there," his promise, "I'll visit, I swear. I love you." He had visited, for a few months, then nothing. No letters, no calls, not a single word the entire time I grew up in a different house under someone else's last name. My muscles locked. "Why are you here?" I asked instead. "Why now?" He leaned back on the bench, arms stretched along the back, casual, like this was a family reunion, not a ghost stepping out of my past. "I saw your name," he said. "Newspaper, big photo, you looking all fancy at that funeral. Samuel Smith leaves inheritance to beloved granddaughter Cassandra Smith." I thought, wow, my little sister really made it. Thought it was time to meet her again. The air felt too thick. The article had been small, just local business news. Construction magnate passes away, fortune to granddaughter. My adoptive grandfather. Not even my blood. Just the father of the man who adopted me. "You read the article," I repeated slowly. "So you knew where to find me." "City's not that big," he said with a shrug. "And you always did like this park." "How did you even know about the Smiths?" I asked. "That I got adopted?" He scratched his cheek, his nails dirty. "They told me," he said. "Social worker. Said some rich couple came and wanted you. Good house, good school. She'll have a better life. You know the speech." His eyes flicked to my clothes, my laptop bag, the phone in my hand. "Looks like they were right." "And you never contacted me?" I asked. It came out too soft. What I wanted to say was, "Why did you disappear? Why did you leave me there like I was a box you dropped at storage and forgot?" But the words jammed behind my teeth. He sighed heavily, like I was being unreasonable. "I was at the bottom, Cass," he said. "You think I had time to write sweet little letters? The family had debts, massive ones. Mom and Dad never told you, obviously. I had to sell the house to pay them off. Everything. I ended up on the street. While you..." His mouth twisted. while you had fresh food and clean sheets and whatever rich people give their kids. My heart did something weird. A part of me wanted to scream that I hadn't always had fresh food and clean sheets, that before the Smiths I had had metal beds and uniforms and bland soup in a gray dining hall, but I knew what he meant. "You were homeless?" I whispered. He nodded. "Yeah, for a while. Then some jobs, then nothing, then some more. You know how it is. Or maybe you don't." He gave a short laugh without humor. "Anyway, I knew you were good. The social worker told me. Said you'd been adopted by a nice family." She even smiled. I thought, okay, at least one of us got a chance. "Me?" He tapped his chest. "I was ashamed. Didn't want to show up stinking like trash in your fairy tale life and ruin it." "You could have at least called," I whispered. My throat burned. "Or sent a letter. I was 6. I thought you were dead." Something flickered in his eyes. Guilt, maybe, or annoyance. "I did what I could," he said eventually. "I came to visit at first, didn't I? Every week. You remember that?" I did. Him bringing me candy. Him telling me, "I'm working on it, CAs, just a bit more time." Him promising to take me home soon. Then the visits getting shorter, then less frequent, then stopping altogether. "You promised you'd come back for me," I said. "You said the asylum was temporary." He looked away. "I was 18, Cassie. 18. I couldn't keep the house, pay the debts, and raise a kid. You would have ruined my life." The words landed like a slap. I remembered them. Exactly them. "You'll ruin my life." I hadn't heard them in years, but they'd been living under my skin all along. My chest squeezed tight. I wanted to say, my parents died too. My life was already ruined, but my mouth wouldn't open properly. Instead, I did what I always do when things hurt too much. I smoothed my voice. "You said you loved me," I said. "I do love you," he insisted quickly. "That's why I let you go. You got a good life, didn't you? Better than being dragged through my mess." Dorothy's laughter floated through my mind. The smell of Aaron's office, paper and coffee and sawdust, the warm hug of a mother who hadn't grown me in her body but held me like she had. Family dinners, birthdays, my own room with posters on the wall and a soft blanket I chose myself. I did have a good life, because Aaron and Dorothy made one for me. I didn't realize I was crying until Ben reached over and clumsily wiped a tear with his thumb. "Hey," he said, softer now. "I'm here. That's what matters, right? We've found each other." My throat closed. "Don't leave," my mind whispered stupidly. "Even now, even after everything. Don't leave me again." "Do you have somewhere to stay?" I asked. He huffed a little laugh. "I'm between places." "Between places," I repeated. "Yeah, roof one day, under a bridge the next." He tried to make it a joke. "Why? Are you worried about your big brother?" I looked at him properly then. The shadows under his eyes, the frayed cuffs, the slumped shoulders, the smell. "Yes," I said. "I am." The next sentence came without thinking, straight from that 6-year-old who used to cling to his arm. "Come home with me." My apartment was small, but to Ben, it must have looked like a palace. A narrow hallway led to a tiny kitchen, a cramped living room, and a bedroom that barely fit my bed and desk. Aaron and Dorothy rented it for me when I started university, saying, "You're an adult now, Cassie. Time to practice living on your own, but not too far from us." They paid the rent, but I paid for almost everything else with my part-time job and the internship. It was our deal. They would give me stability. I would learn responsibility. "This is nice," Ben said, kicking his shoes off and walking straight to the fridge like he owned the place. He pulled out a can of soda and opened it. "Real nice. So this is what adoption money looks like." "It's not..." I started automatically, then stopped. Explaining would turn into an argument. "Do you want to shower? I can get you a towel and some clothes." He sniffed his shirt and grimaced. "Yeah, guess I could." While he was in the bathroom, water running loudly, I stood in the middle of my living room and shook. The last time we had been under the same roof, I'd been 6 and he'd been 18. Our parents had just died in a car accident. There'd been shock, then crying, then relatives and social workers and forms. Then the day at the asylum, gray building, my backpack too heavy, the smell of disinfectant. "You'll be fine here," he'd said, kneeling in front of me, his hands on my shoulders. "They'll take care of you. It's better for you here for now, okay? I'll visit. I'll get things sorted out and then I'll come get you. I promise. I love you, Cass." "Don't leave me," I'd sobbed, clinging to his hoodie sleeve until my fingers hurt. "Please, Benny. I'll be good. I won't cry." The social worker's hand had pried my fingers off his arm one by one. I remembered the feeling of fabric slipping away from my grip, my nails scraping his skin, my heart breaking. I remembered the door closing behind him. I remembered waiting. The shower turned off. Seconds later, Ben emerged wearing my spare sweatpants and an old oversized t-shirt from some university event. On him, they looked almost normal. Cleaner, he looked more like the brother I remembered. Same dark eyes, same crooked grin. "Feels human again," he said, rubbing his hair with the towel. "Thanks, sis." Sis. It was ridiculous how that one word made something warm unfurl inside my chest. That night, we didn't sleep. We sat on the couch with a blanket over our legs and talked until dawn. About Mom's Sunday pancakes, about Dad's terrible jokes, about the time Ben had snuck me a puppy for 2 hours before Dad made him return it because we are not ready for a dog. We laughed and cried and filled in some of the empty years. He told me about the debts, not in detail, but enough. "After the funeral, it was all numbers," he said. "Bills, loans, things I didn't even know existed. I sold the house, it wasn't enough. I tried to work and pay back what I could. Then other things piled on. I started gambling, thinking I'd turn a bit into a lot." He snorted. "You can guess how that turned out." "Badly," I said. "Very badly," he confirmed. "Every time I tried to start over, job at a warehouse, helping in a bar, construction, whatever, something went wrong. Or I screwed it up. I'm not going to lie. I'm lazy, and I like the rush. Cards, betting, dice, anything that gives you that push in your blood. I'd be good for a week, maybe 2. Then I'd be back at the table." "You could get help," I said quietly. He shrugged. "Sure. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just broken." There was no self-hatred in his voice, just a flat acceptance that scared me more. "And you really thought you couldn't take me with you?" I asked, my voice small. "We could have, I don't know, figured it out." He looked at me like I'd told a joke. "You were 6, he said. I was 18. I could barely feed myself. If I dragged you into that, we both would have drowned. Instead, you got the golden ticket. Rich family, inheritance, university. I did something right for once. You had a happy childhood, didn't you?" Images flashed through my mind. Christmas with too many lights, Dorothy teaching me to bake, Aaron cheering at my school play like I'd won an Oscar. "I did," I admitted. "There you go," he said, patting my knee. "So maybe I'm not the villain." The thing is, in that moment, I wanted to believe him. I wanted to rewrite my own memories, take the little girl screaming in the asylum hallway and tell her, "He left because he loved you. Not because you were too much. Not because you would ruin his life." So I nodded. "You're not the villain," I said. Not completely, anyway. When the sky outside turned pale, he leaned his head back and closed his eyes. "Man, I could sleep for a week," he muttered. "You can stay," I heard myself say. "For now, until you find something. A job, a place, whatever you need." His eyes snapped open. "You serious?" "Yes." He grinned, and for a moment I saw the teenage boy who used to put me on his shoulders to watch parades. "You're a lifesaver, Cass," he said. "Really? I knew you'd be." I smiled back, ignoring the little voice in my head that whispered, "Last time you trusted him, you ended up behind a locked door." The first days felt almost like a dream. I went to my morning lectures and left him asleep on the couch, hair poking out of the blanket. When I came back between classes, the couch was empty and the blanket folded. In the evenings, we watched old movies and ate pasta. He told me stories about Mom and Dad from before I was born, things I never knew. It was like getting back pieces of my life that had been stolen. He promised he was looking for work. "I'll take anything," he said. "I just need a clean start." I believed him. Of course I believed him. When I mentioned him to Aaron and Dorothy on the phone, there was a pause. "Oh," Dorothy said carefully. "Honey, that must be intense for you. How do you feel?" "Good," I said too fast. "Surprised, but happy. He had a hard life, Mom. He sold the house to pay off Dad's debts. He was homeless. He thought I was better off." There was another pause, longer this time. "Cassie," Aaron said, his voice gentle. "We don't know what really happened back then. We only know what the social worker told us, and she didn't mention him paying off debts. But if you feel safe with him around, that's what matters. Just be careful, okay?" They asked if they could meet him. I hesitated, then said yes. They came to my apartment the next Sunday, bringing a casserole and a bag of groceries because that's what they do. Dorothy in her beige coat, Aaron in his tidy sweater, both smelling like home. They hugged me, kissed my head, and then turned to Ben with warm, polite smiles. "You must be Ben," Dorothy said, offering her hand. "It's so nice to finally meet you." Ben took her hand and squeezed it a bit too hard. "You must be the rich saviors," he said with a crooked grin. "My sister's fairy godparents." Aaron chuckled, trying to diffuse the tension. "We're just glad Cassie found her way to us," he said. "You're welcome here anytime." They all sat around my little table, the casserole steaming between us. Aaron asked Ben about work, about plans. Dorothy asked if he needed anything, a jacket maybe, or help with interviews. He answered, but there was an edge to his voice, like every question was a test. When they left, Dorothy hugged him too, briefly. "You're part of Cassie's family," she said. "So you're part of ours, in a way. Please reach out if you ever need anything." He gave a tight nod and didn't meet her eyes. As soon as the door closed behind them, his posture changed. "These Richies," he muttered, walking to the window and peeking through the curtain as they got into their car. "Thinking they're the best people in the world because they adopted a poor orphan. Bet they're not as good as they pretend." My stomach clenched. "Don't talk about them like that," I said, more sharply than I meant to. "They're good people, Ben. They've always been good to me." He rolled his eyes. "Relax, princess. I'm just saying people with money always have some angle. Nobody does anything for free." "They gave me a home," I snapped. "Love, a life. They didn't get anything back except me." "Exactly," he said. "You, an heiress, not a bad deal." "It wasn't like that," I said, but doubt suddenly pricked at me. I hated that it did. "They adopted me long before any inheritance." "Sure," he shrugged. "If you say so." That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, his words echoing in my head. I knew they weren't true, but they dug into the tender place where my fear lived. The fear that maybe I was only loved because I was good, because I made people proud, because I didn't cause trouble. If I failed? If I disappointed them? Would they leave too? Ben didn't find a job. He said he was looking, but whenever I asked how it was going, he had some reason why nothing worked out. "The gardener helper at your rich dad's place?" He scoffed when I suggested it. "You want me to be their servant? No thanks. I'm not going to crawl around their hedges while they drink wine by the pool." "It's just a job," I said. "You'd be outside, you like that. And Aaron's not like that, I said no, he snapped, then softened his voice. I don't want to feel like I'm working for them. You get it?" I did, kind of. "What about that security job my friend's family mentioned?" I tried again. "You'd be at the gate, just checking people in. It pays okay." He snorted. "Guard dogs, rich mansions, guns, no thanks. I'm not risking my life defending people who already have everything." "You wouldn't have a gun," I said, confused. "You'd just be checking IDs." He waved it away. Not my thing. Days turned into weeks. While I woke up early for lectures, rushed to my internship in the afternoons, and studied late into the night, he sat on the couch. At first, he read random magazines I had lying around. Then he stared at his phone. Then, eventually, it was mostly the TV and beer. The fridge was always lighter, the trash filled with cans. My bank account grew thinner, even though I tried to ignore it. "I'll pay you back when I get my life together," he said one evening when I came home and found the last of my emergency savings gone from the little jar in the kitchen drawer. "You know I will, Cass." I believed him, or I wanted to. I didn't notice how long he'd been there until one Friday night when I opened my door and walked into chaos. Music thumped through the walls, too loud for my tiny apartment. The living room was full. 4, maybe 5 people I'd never seen before, squeezed onto my couch and sitting on the floor. Empty bottles everywhere, the sharp smell of spilled beer and sweat in the air. Someone had ash on my rug. "What is this?" I shouted over the noise. "Cass!" Ben appeared from the kitchen with a bottle in hand, grinning. "You're home. Come on, meet everyone. This is real life, not that glossy golden cage you grew up in. Have some fun, sis." My heart pounded. These people were strangers in my space, in my safety. One guy with a shaved head and half-lidded eyes looked me up and down too slowly. A girl on the couch laughed too loud, then nearly dropped her drink on my laptop. "I have neighbors," I said to Ben, trying to keep my voice steady. "I have early classes tomorrow. What is going on?" "Relax," he said, slinging an arm around my shoulders. His breath smelled like alcohol. "We'll keep it down, right, guys?" Nobody even heard him. Part of me wanted to throw them all out. Another part remembered being 6 and having nowhere to go. The idea of saying, "Get out or I'll throw your stuff in the hallway," felt like betrayal. So I did what I always do. I compromised. "Fine," I said through clenched teeth. "But no more people after this, and nobody goes into my room, and this mess," I pointed at the bottles, "is cleaned by morning. Got it?" Sure, he said, already turning back to his friends. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in my bed with the door locked, heart hammering at every burst of laughter, every thud of feet, every bottle clink. I pictured someone slipping into my room, taking my laptop, my jewelry, the little gold necklace Dorothy gave me for my 18th birthday that I kept in my bedside drawer. By morning, my head hurt from tension. When the last of them finally drifted out, reeking of alcohol and cheap perfume, the apartment looked like a battlefield. Sticky rings on the table, cigarette butts on the balcony, a mysterious stain on the couch. Ben yawned and stretched like a satisfied cat. "That was good," he said. "You should have joined us more." I gripped the back of a chair so hard my knuckles turned white. "Never again," I said. "No more parties, no more random people. This is my home, Ben, not your hangout." He held his hands up. Okay, I hear you. It won't happen again. Promise." He'd promised before. It was starting to mean less. 2 days later, he came back from a walk with a spark in his eyes I hadn't seen before. "I found a job," he announced, dropping his backpack on the floor. My body flooded with relief. "Really? Where?" "A tattoo studio in the next city over," he said. "Friend of a friend. They need someone at the front desk. Maybe help with cleaning, running errands. It's not glamorous, but it's something." "That's great," I said, genuinely happy for him. "When do you start?" "Next week," he said. Then his expression shifted. "Only problem is, I need a way to get there. The train is expensive and unreliable, and it's not exactly close." I felt the trap before he sprung it. "You want to borrow my car?" I said. "Just for a while," he said quickly. "Until I get my first paycheck. Come on, Cass. You can take the bus to uni. It's not like you're going to the moon. You're rich now anyway. You can buy another car later." "I'm not rich," I said. "The inheritance, most of it is locked until I'm 25. And I bought my car with money I earned. I need it to get to campus and to the internship." He tilted his head. You're telling me a little inconvenience for you is more important than me getting back on my feet? My chest tightened. There it was again. The idea that I owed him. That my comfort was built on his sacrifice. That I was selfish if I didn't give what I had. I want to help you, I said slowly. I can't give you my car. But I can help you buy an old one. Something cheap, just to get you started. With my own money. Not the inheritance. His eyes lit up. You'd do that? Yes, I said, even though my stomach clenched at the thought of my savings shrinking again. If you promise to actually go to work and keep it. I swear, he said, placing a hand over his heart. You won't regret this, Cass. This is it, my turning point. We found a battered little car online, more rust than paint, but Ben liked it. I handed over the money, feeling each bill like a tiny cut. He drove it around the block, grinning like a kid on Christmas. For 2 weeks, he was different. He got up early, showered, drank coffee instead of beer in the morning. He drove off with his music playing and came back tired, but almost content. He told me stories about clients, about the artists at the studio, about the weird guy who wanted a shark tattooed on his forehead. I'm doing it, he said one evening, dropping onto the couch. I'm really doing it. I let myself relax. Maybe this could work. Maybe this was all he'd needed. Stability, a chance. Then he disappeared. He didn't come home one night, or the next. By the third day, my panic was a living thing in my chest. I called his phone, but it went straight to voicemail. I barely slept, that old fear roaring back. He's gone. He left you. Again. On the afternoon of day 3, when I was about to call hospitals, he walked in, by bus. Where's the car? Was the first thing out of my mouth. He dropped his backpack, avoiding my eyes. Gone. What do you mean, gone? My voice was too high. Ben, what happened? He rubbed his face. I lost it. In what? I demanded. A parking lot? A sinkhole? What? In a casino, okay? He snapped. Are you happy now? I stared at him, my heartbeat roaring in my ears. You gambled it away, I said slowly. The car I bought, with my money, for you to get to your job. He flung himself onto the couch and stared at the ceiling. I was up at first, he muttered. I swear, I thought I could double it, get ahead on rent, maybe pay you back. It just went bad. Fast. You promised, I whispered. I know, he said. And I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. But it's just a car. You can get another one. It wasn't just a car, I said, my hand shaking. It was weeks of my work. It was trust. It was you saying this was your turning point. He sat up, eyes flashing. You think your life would look like this if I hadn't sent you to that asylum? He demanded. If I'd kept you, we'd both be broke and miserable. Instead, you got a new family, a car, a uni degree, and now a freaking inheritance, thanks to me. Anger burned through my chest, hot and clean. Thanks to you? I choked. Ben, I would have given anything to stay with you. I cried for you for months. I thought you didn't love me enough. I thought there was something wrong with me. He flinched, then narrowed his eyes. You had a good life, he said stubbornly. You just said so. You can't deny that. That doesn't erase what you did, I said, voice shaking. You abandoned me. You promised to come back and you didn't. And now you're here years later and you're doing it again. Making promises and breaking them, taking and acting like I owe you. You do owe me, he snapped. I had nothing while you were eating fresh food in your fancy house. I slept under bridges while you had soft blankets. You think that doesn't count for something? I didn't choose that, I said. I was a child, just like I didn't choose this inheritance. None of it was my fault, but I'm trying. I study, I work, I pay my bills. I gestured at him, helpless. You drink my beer and gamble away my car. His face hardened. If you're so done with me, just say it, he said. Say you don't need your big brother anymore now that you've got the rich replacement family. The words hit the target perfectly. My oldest fear, the one where people leave if I'm not good enough, flared up, ugly and familiar. "I'm not saying that," I whispered. "Then what are you saying?" he challenged. I took a deep breath. My heart pounded. I felt 6 years old again, begging, "Don't leave me." But I was also 21, with my own keys in my pocket and my own name on the lease. "I'm saying," I said slowly, "that I can't give you any more money. No more cars, no more loans. If you stay here, you have food and a couch. That's it. If you want more, you have to earn it yourself." He stared at me. "You're serious," he said. "Yes." He laughed, a harsh, disbelieving sound. "Wow," he said. "Okay, got it. Little sis won't help big brother anymore after everything I did." My hands fisted at my sides. "What you did," I said, "was sell the house and pay the debts. That was good. What you also did was put me in an asylum and then disappear. Both things are true." He opened his mouth, then shut it. For a second, I thought I saw the boy from my memories, the one who'd hugged me at the gates. Then his eyes went flat. "Fine," he said. "Food and couch. I can live with that." I wasn't sure I could. After the car incident, something shifted between us. He stopped pretending to look for work. He slept later, stayed out longer, came back reeking of smoke and some sharp chemical scent I didn't recognize. Sometimes he had bruises. Sometimes his hands shook. Little things started to go missing. At first, I blamed myself. I misplaced things all the time, I told myself. I probably left that 20 in a jacket pocket, that ring in the bathroom, that phone charger at the library. Then, one afternoon, I opened my jewelry box to put on the gold necklace Dorothy had given me for my 18th birthday. And it wasn't there. The box was in its usual place on my dresser. The cheaper pieces were still inside. Just the necklace was gone. My vision blurred. "Ben!" I called, my voice shaking. He appeared in the doorway, hair damp from a shower, towel around his neck. "What? Where's my necklace?" I asked. "The gold one, from my mom." He frowned. "How should I know?" "It was here yesterday," I said. "And now it's not. You're the only other person with a key." He rolled his eyes. "Maybe you lost it." "I don't lose that," I snapped. "That's the one thing I never lose." Something flashed in his eyes. Guilt, gone as quickly as it came. "I told you, I don't know," he said. "You're being paranoid." Later that day, when he thought I wasn't looking, he slipped a small, folded piece of paper into his pocket. A pawn ticket. My stomach dropped. "Did you pawn it?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He froze. "It was just sitting there," he said defensively. "You never wear it. You have plenty of other stuff. I needed cash. It's not like they're going to starve just because you don't have a shiny chain around your neck." "It wasn't about the chain," I said, tears stinging my eyes. "It was about who gave it to me." He shrugged. "You can buy another one." "It won't be that one," I said. He opened his mouth, then apparently decided to skip the apology stage. "If you'd just given me some money," he muttered, "I wouldn't have had to." I stared at him, numb. "That's not how that works," I said. He snorted. "Whatever." It got worse. One night I came home and heard voices through the door. Not just one, but several, low and tense. My heart picked up speed. I opened the door slowly. 3 men sat in my living room. One on my couch, one leaning against the wall, one standing near the window. They were all older than Ben, with hard faces and tired eyes. Ben sat across from them, hands tapping nervously on his knees. The conversation stopped when I walked in. "Who's that?" the standing man asked. "My sister," Ben said, rising quickly. "Cass, go to your room, we're just talking." My skin crawled. There was something in the way they watched me, measured, calculating, that made every instinct scream. "I live here," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "What's going on?" "We're sorting some business," the man on the couch said. He had a scar down his cheek. "Your brother owes us, we're just making sure he pays." Ben shot him a warning look. "It's under control," he said. "I told you I'd get it. I'm working on it." The man by the window laughed humorlessly. You've been working on it for months. The urge to tell them all to get out was almost overwhelming, but I could feel trouble in the air like static. These weren't drunk students at a party. These were men who lived in a different reality. Please leave, I said, still at the doorway. This is my home. Whatever you're talking about, take it somewhere else. Scarcheek rose slowly. Relax, sweetheart, he said, his gaze lingering too long. We're not here for you, yet. Ben stepped between us. Enough, he snapped. You've seen where I live. You know I'm not hiding anything, just give me a little more time. Scarcheek studied him, then me. You got 1 week, he said finally. After that, we'll collect, one way or another. They left. As soon as the door shut, I rounded on Ben. Who are they? I demanded. What did you do? He sank onto the couch, rubbing his face. Just some guys I owe money to, he said. Don't freak out. Don't freak out? I repeated. They were in my house, threatening you, hinting at me. Because of your gambling? He didn't answer. I grabbed my phone with shaking hands. I'm calling the police, I said. He shot up like I'd burned him. Don't, he barked. You'll make it worse. How could it be worse than this? I cried. You don't understand how this works, he said, wild-eyed. You bring cops into it, they'll think I snitched. They'll come after me. Maybe you. You want that? I froze. Images flashed across my mind. Men waiting outside my building, following me to class, Aaron and Dorothy's house address in some notebook. No, I whispered. Then calm down, he said. I'll figure it out. I always do. You never do, I said. You just dig deeper. He grabbed my shoulders, fingers biting into my skin. Cassie, he said, his voice low and intense. You have money, not the inheritance, fine. But you work. You have that internship. You have savings. Not anymore, I said. I spent them on your car. Then ask your rich parents, he pressed. Tell them you need help. They'll write a check. They wouldn't even notice it's gone. It's nothing to them. I shook my head, tears spilling over. I can't, I said. They trust me. They give me enough already. I'm not going to lie to them and drag them into your mess. His grip tightened. You're willing to risk me getting hurt or worse over principles? He demanded. After I saved you from our parents' debts? After I gave you a chance at that life? Stop saying you saved me, I choked. You didn't do it for me. You did what you had to do and then you left. I am grateful you paid off the debts, but that doesn't mean I owe you my life, Ben. His expression twisted. You owe me more than you owe them, he said. They took the finished product. I had to do the ugly part. The words made me physically flinch. Let go of me, I whispered. He didn't. If you don't help me, he said quietly, I'll solve it my own way. Maybe I show up at your dear Aaron's company event and tell everyone how he bought an orphan, how he used me to sign away my rights, how he dangled money in front of a grieving teenager to steal his sister. That's not what happened, I said, my voice faint. They didn't even meet you. Doesn't matter, he said. People love a story. Rich businessman exploits tragic orphan to secure heir. Press will eat it up. You think his reputation is untouchable? You think they'll love you as much when you're the reason their picture-perfect charity image cracks? My heart dropped into my stomach. He'd found it, my weakest spot. Why would you do that? I whispered. To the people who never hurt you? To the people who love me? Because they have money, he said flatly. And money fixes things. You won't help me get it. Maybe they will. You're blackmailing me, I realized, the word tasting bitter. I'm surviving, he shot back. This is how the world works, Cassie. You think being good has gotten you anywhere? You're living off dead people's money in an apartment your rich daddy pays for while you judge the one guy who actually had to fight. My panic spiked so hard my vision blurred. My brain buzzed with two contradictory impulses. Cling to him, beg him not to leave, and push him out, slam the door, lock it forever. Let go of me, I said again, forcing the words out. This time, he dropped his hands, almost in surprise, like he hadn't realized he was holding me that tight. We stared at each other. "This is the last time I'm saying this," I said, voice trembling but steady. "I will not give you any more money. I will not drag Aaron and Dorothy into this. I will not let dangerous men come into my home. If you want to work, I will make you breakfast. I will cheer for you. I will help you with your CV. But I won't be your ATM." His jaw clenched. "And if I don't accept that?" he asked softly. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it. "Then you can't stay here," I said. The words hung in the air, heavy and terrifying. He gave a small, disbelieving laugh. "You're kicking me out," he said. "I'm asking you to choose," I said. "Your addiction or a life. You can't have both here." Big words from a girl who never had to choose anything, he spat. I swallowed. "Pack your things," I said quietly. "You can keep whatever food is in the kitchen. I'll give you a little cash so you're not completely alone out there. But after today, I can't do this anymore." There it was, the sentence I'd been trying not to say since the park bench. His face went through a series of expressions: anger, disbelief, something like hurt, though it might have just been wounded pride. "You'll regret this," he said finally. "When those men come looking for me and don't find me, they'll look for leverage. Maybe they visit your mom's nice house. Maybe they knock on Aaron's door. Maybe they don't knock." My knees went weak. He saw it. Of course he did. "Give me the money, Cass," he said softly. "Just this once. I walk away. Nobody has to know." I thought of calling Dorothy, telling her everything, begging her to fix it like she used to fix scraped knees and bad grades. I imagined the disappointment in her eyes, the tension in Aaron's jaw. I thought of being 6, of clinging to Ben as they pulled me away screaming, "Don't leave me, don't leave me. I'll be good, I promise." I thought of the gold necklace in some pawn shop, my history traded for chips. My hands shook as I went to my bedroom, opened the small box under my bed, and took out the envelope labeled emergency. It had $300. It was supposed to be for unexpected bills, a broken laptop, a hospital visit. I walked back and held it out. "This is the last thing I will ever give you," I said. "After this, we're done." He snatched it from my hand. "Don't say that," he said lightly. "We're family. Family never ends." Then he slung his backpack over his shoulder, opened the door, and stepped into the hallway. He didn't look back. When the door clicked shut behind him, my legs gave out. I slid down the wall and sat on the floor shaking. For a long time, I listened for his footsteps coming back, for a knock, for anything. Silence. I didn't tell Aaron and Dorothy right away. At first, I told them small, edited versions. "Ben found a place with some friends," I said on the phone. "He's trying to get on his feet." "I'm glad he's trying," Dorothy said gently. "But are you okay?" "I'm fine," I lied. "Just tired. Uni, you know." It took a week for the nightmares to start. In them, I was back at the asylum, clinging to Ben's arm as the social worker pulled me away. But this time, when the door shut, it wasn't him walking out. It was me. I was the one leaving him in some gray, empty place, his eyes wide and betrayed. I woke up crying, my heart pounding, guilt a living thing in my chest. "You're doing to him what he did to you," the voice in my head whispered. "You left him when he needed you." Another voice, quieter but stubborn, said, "You gave him a home. Food, a car, a chance. He kept choosing the casino, the lies, the threats." One afternoon, after a particularly bad night, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove to Aaron and Dorothy's house. Dorothy opened the door and her face immediately crumpled. "Oh, honey," she said, pulling me into a hug. "What's wrong?" I cried in her hallway like I hadn't cried since I was a child. They sat me at the kitchen table, made tea, put a plate of cookies in front of me like that could fix my heart. When I finally stopped sobbing long enough to breathe, I told them everything. About the park, about the party, the car, the men, the necklace, the blackmail. I expected anger, or worse, quiet disappointment. Instead, Aaron looked stricken. "You went through all of this without telling us," he said, his voice rough. "Cassie, why?" Because I didn't want you to think I was ungrateful, I said. You already did so much for me. I thought it was my responsibility. He's my brother. If I cut him off, what does that say about me? That you're protecting yourself, Dorothy said firmly, which is exactly what you should be doing. But he paid off the debts, I said. He sold the house. He really did end up on the street. And I got this. I gestured helplessly at their warm kitchen, the family photos, the life I'd been given. Maybe he's right. Maybe I owe him. You don't owe him your safety, Aaron said quietly, or your future, or your sanity. He signed some papers when you were taken into care, Dorothy added gently. We know that much from your file, but that was about making you safe, not making you his lifelong debt source. Whatever good he did back then doesn't give him the right to hurt you now. He's not hurting me, I protested automatically. He's just... I trailed off. There wasn't a good word. He's sick, Dorothy said. Addicted. Lost. But you are not his cure, sweetheart. And you are not his punishment either. You didn't abandon him. You invited him in. He chose what to do with that chance. I stared at my tea. It feels like I abandoned him, I whispered. Aaron reached across the table and took my hand. Cassie, he said. When we met you, you were more worried about everyone else in the group home than yourself. You kept saying, they're smaller, give them more. You've always felt like you had to earn your place. With us, with teachers, with friends. You don't have to earn anything here. He squeezed my hand. We love you, he said simply. You are our daughter. That's not conditional on you saving your brother. If he shows up here, we will not let him manipulate you. We'll call the police if we have to. Not because we hate him. Because we love you. Tears spilled over again. I keep wondering if I did the right thing, I said. Kicking him out, giving him that last envelope. Not calling the police. Not gathering the money for those men. There probably isn't a perfectly right thing, Dorothy said. Just the thing you can live with. You did the best you could with what you had. What if something happens to him? I whispered. What if they hurt him? What if he ends up dead and I didn't help him? Dorothy's eyes filled with tears too. Then that will hurt, she said honestly. And we will get through it together. But his choices are not your fault, Cassie. They never were. Not when you were 6, and not now. I cried until my chest hurt, then cried some more. When I left their house that evening, the sky was turning pink. Aaron walked me to the car and hesitated before I got in. If he contacts you again, he said, tell us, or tell the police, or both. Don't handle it alone. Promise me. I promise, I said. And I meant it. Weeks passed. Ben didn't call. He didn't text. He didn't come by my apartment. The men with the scarred faces didn't show up either, at least not where I could see them. Sometimes, when I walked through the city, I thought I saw him, on a bench, in a crowd across the street. My heart would leap into my throat, ready to run toward him or away, but every time I got closer, it wasn't him. The inheritance stayed in the bank, mostly unreachable until I turned 25. My life became lectures, internship, dinner with Aaron and Dorothy on Sundays. It was safe, quiet, almost normal. But at night, when the apartment was dark and the city had gone soft and distant, I thought about him. I thought about him at 18, signing papers with trembling hands while I cried in another room, about him selling the house that held our childhood, about him sleeping under bridges while I learned to ride a bike in a suburban driveway, about his crooked grin when he sat on my bench and said, "You did well?" I thought about the way his fingers dug into my shoulders when he threatened to blow up my parents' lives to save his own. I thought about the way he never looked back when he walked out my door. On some nights, the guilt won. Maybe I should have tried harder. Maybe I should have found some rehab program, some NGO, some miracle. Maybe I should have told Aaron everything sooner. Let him handle it like a business problem. Debt, risk, negotiation, closure. Maybe there was a version where Ben didn't end up running from men with scars and pawn tickets. On other nights, a quieter voice said, "You're allowed to live. You're allowed to choose yourself. You're allowed to keep the life he once said he wanted for you, safe, stable, boring even, without setting it on fire to warm him." Sometimes I sat in the park again, on the same bench. The tree overhead still looked tired. The pond still had ducks. My coffee was a little more expensive now because the internship started paying better. I imagined him walking up, hands shoved in his pockets. I imagined him older, sober, hesitant. "Hey, Cass," he'd say. "I'm trying again. This time for real. I don't want money, just a coffee, to tell you I'm sorry." In that imagined future, I always said yes. I always bought him the coffee. I always listened. In reality, there was only the bench and the ducks and my own thoughts. The day I turned 22, I got a small envelope in the mail with no return address. Inside was a pawn ticket. For my necklace. No note, no explanation. Just the slip of paper that meant I could go get it back. I stared at it for a long time. Then I went to the shop. The man behind the counter raised an eyebrow when I slid the ticket across. "Overdue by a bit," he said, squinting. "Lucky it's still here." He brought out the necklace from the back. It looked the same as always. Thin gold chain, small pendant, nothing extraordinary. My fingers shook when I fastened it around my neck. "Did the guy who pawned it leave a message?" I asked, my voice barely steady. Dark hair, mid-30s, about this tall. The man shrugged. "We don't do messages," he said. "If he had something to say, he'd have told you himself." I nodded and walked out, the chain warm against my skin. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe he'd just cashed in some winnings or guilt and thought, fine, she can have her sentimental trinket back. Maybe it was his version of an apology. Maybe it was just a coincidence, a ticket he couldn't use anymore because he was leaving town or leaving something else. I don't know. That's the thing about stories told from one point of view. You never really know what the other person's truth is. All I have is what he told me, what I saw, and what it did to me. Sometimes, when guilt wraps itself around my throat, I touch the necklace and think of Dorothy's words. There probably isn't a perfectly right thing, just the thing you can live with. I don't know if I did the right thing, cutting my brother off. I only know that I chose not to lose myself again trying to hold on to someone who kept walking away. And on the bad nights, when I lie awake and picture him under some bridge or in some back room with cards and smoke and danger, I whisper into the dark, "I hope you find your turning point, Ben, even if it's without me."
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and explore our channel for more love, betrayal, and redemption tales.